Hello! This week I want to go through the stats for my book, No More Second Chances, and I think this is a good way to show kind of realistic view of what it's like to be a self-published author for the first time. You know, how many orders, how much money, Kindle Unlimited page reads, stuff like that. Now, before I begin, I think it's really important to talk about what kind of book No More Second Chances is, because I feel like the genre that you're publishing in really affects how many books you sell, at least initially, before you get the ball rolling. For example, I think books that are published more in the romance genre do quite a lot better at the beginning, just because romance is super, super popular. So No More Second Chances is a sci-fi fantasy thriller, almost zero romance. So adventure first and foremost. I'm not sure how popular that genre is or that type of book is. I know a lot of people say, right to market, right to sell to the most popular market, but I didn't want to do that. I just want to write what I want to write, and that is a, sci-fi thriller, fantasy adventure, regardless of whether, it ever gets popular or anything. I just felt like that's what I want to write. I'm going to write it. Now, another thing that I think is super, super important to mention is that before I published No More Second Chances, I had zero following. So no following on social media, like no Instagram, no Facebook, no TikTok. And I think that also affects how many books you sell, because if you do have a following before you publish, you can tell your following, oh, go buy my book, I just published it. If you have zero following, no one knows it's out there, and it's super, super hard to get your book out there without one. So now I have since started posting on social media, mostly TikTok, and I'll show you the results of doing that on the sales later. And you'll also see the results of running meta ads, which I did for a little bit on the sales that I got. So to begin, I published No More Second Chances on July 28th, 2025, and today is October 13th, 2025, so it's been about 2.5 months since I published. And this is my very first book. Originally, I had the ebook priced at $9.99 Canadian and the paperback priced at $24.99 Canadian. I have since, as you can see, lowered those prices, and I'll talk about why I did that a little later. So to begin, from July 28th to October 13th, I have sold a total of 37 books, and this is a mix of ebooks, so 17 ebooks and 20 print books. And here's the chart here, and I really want to explain, what's going on in this chart, what's up with this huge spike at the beginning. So at the beginning, when I had 3 order days, 4 order days, 2, 3, that was family and friends ordering the book. So when it first came out, I told, my closest friends, my family, my book is out. If you're interested, please buy it. And that was the initial rush of, okay, I will buy this. So I had a pretty sharp, spike at the beginning. And then it started going down. So this also, I believe, was mostly, lingering friends and family purchasing the book. So for the first, almost month, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, was almost exclusively friends and family. And then, as you can see, I have this really long period of time where I sold 0 copies. And during that time, I was trying to set up my TikTok. I was trying to post on Instagram. I had no idea what I was doing. I just was posting all over the place and didn't really have a plan. So that was, unfortunately, a period of time where I sold nothing. However, starting September 1st, I started running ads on Meta. And as you can see, at first I published an ad that was just, the tropes of the book. I just had one ad. That's it. I'm just running a single ad. And the first day I sold 1 book. The second day I sold 1 book. And then I had a day or 2 of selling nothing. And then I had another spike. 1 book, 2 books. And then I kept running the ads, but I didn't sell a thing. I had no idea what was going on. And I was spending money every single day and not getting my return, because at this point, I still sold the book at $9.99 and $24.99, so I was making money from each sale. About, I would say, $8 for the ebook and also $8 for the paperback at that point. But it wasn't matching what I was spending on ads. So I thought, okay, well, I'm getting some sales. It's going down. It doesn't really seem like it's working. Again, I ran ads, I believe, around this point in time, and I only got one sale. So I stopped running meta ads, and I decided, okay, I need to start, getting a following on social media. And I would say around this time is when I started posting on TikTok consistently, and also about one thing, sort of. So I started posting about my journey, just like I'm posting on YouTube right now, about, my dream, becoming a full-time author, stuff like that. And I actually got some interest. So this to book day, I believe, was someone on TikTok telling me they bought the book, which is amazing. And then also, I know another family member bought it, so that was also really good. But anyway, so from this point, I would say from this point right here, September 23rd, is when I started posting on TikTok consistently. And I believe pretty much all these sales are from people on TikTok who said, I'm interested, I'm going to buy your book, I'm going to read it, which is fantastic to me. I am so, so happy. And the fact that strangers are now reading my book is just phenomenal. It's just exceeded my expectations. And I said when I published my book first, it doesn't matter if, it never gets popular, whether I make a ton of money from it. But if I can just get one stranger to read the book and love it, then I won. So right now, I'm just kind of riding that wave. I'm trying to see what works with TikTok and what doesn't. The reason why I'm not really posting on other social media is because I just think my audience will probably be on TikTok. On Instagram, I don't really like Instagram. Facebook, I don't think the audience is on Facebook very much, even though I did run ads, I had a few sales. I'm seeing success posting on TikTok, so I'm going to continue doing that. Not going to spread myself too thin. So is 37 books good? I have no idea. You hear these stories of self-published authors who don't even sell a single copy of their book. So I think 37 is pretty good, especially for someone who didn't have a following. And I'm quite happy with it. It's not fantastic, it's not hundreds, thousands of books. But 37 right now, with a few of them being strangers, is good to me. My plan moving forward now is to keep posting on TikTok to see if I can generate some hype, get more people to read it and then post reviews about it. I'm going to really try and get a lot of reviews for it because I believe that really, really helps with visibility. And anyway, now on to the Kindle Unlimited. So I did enroll my ebook in Kindle Unlimited, which is a service where readers, have a subscription. And they can read a certain amount of books for free every month. They download it, and you get paid. As the author, you get paid per page read. Now, over the 2.5 months that I have published this book, and it's been out there, I have gotten, 1,900 page reads. Now, No More Second Chances, the Kindle Unlimited page read number for that book is around 700. So that means, this 1,900 pages read is about 2.5 books, which is cool. I don't know if they've come from the same person reading, one full book, another full book, another half a book, or whether they've come from bits and pieces from readers, reading a little bit and then stopping. But I think that's pretty good to start. In terms of whether I'm going to continue with Kindle Unlimited, I'm not sure. It's cool seeing that, people reading in real time, getting a little bit of money from Kindle Unlimited, which I wanted to show you. From this 1,900 pages read, I got about $9, which if I've sold a single paperback at $24.99 Canadian, I would make roughly that. So not a huge chunk of profits, but it's something. And it's cool that people can read for free with a subscription, but I'm thinking of maybe putting my book on my website or making a website. I don't have a website yet. Making a website, putting the Kindle book on there or the ebook and selling it there, being able to distribute it to other, websites and stuff like that and readers really easily is just, I think, a big pull for not being in Kindle Unlimited. I think I'm going to try it for a couple months, being, just selling it on the side somewhere, and then maybe seeing how I do with that. Again, it really depends on, can I get an audience to really be interested in this? Can people, find my website, easily and easily download this ebook. Plus, if you can get people to buy your ebook from your website, you can also potentially get their email, which then you can start building an email list, which I've heard is very important. So I should probably start doing that soon. Okay, so how much money have I actually made from these books? So before I reveal that, I mentioned at the beginning that I did change the price for the book. So again, right, the ebook used to be $9.99 Canadian and the paperback $24.99. The reason I lowered the price was I was getting a lot of clicks on my ads, but not a lot of sales. So I figured I was running an advertorial. I was getting a lot of click-throughs on that, but not a lot of sales. So I thought maybe lowering the price would incentivize people to buy it. I'm not too sure if that worked because, again, I saw like a flat line after running Facebook ads for a couple days. So I might have to test something in the future. The other reason why I decreased the price, especially the ebook, so dramatically was I figured, as a first-time author, people do not know you, right? And it's already really hard convincing them to buy your book. And if it's too high of a price for them to think, okay, I'll give it a shot, then they're not going to buy it, right? But if it's $2.99, for example, that's only $2.99, right? So if it's a bad book, I only spent $2.99 on it. I mean, I think my book is good, but I lowered the price because I feel like that was a good entry point in, getting to know my writing style, getting to know the book, not having to take such a huge risk and with your money especially. I'm hoping I can keep it this cheap. I think I will. Again, just for those reasons. And maybe the next book, making it a little bit more expensive, trying to get maybe a little bit more money out of it. But right now, I'm focused on, not so much making a ton of money because as you will see, I haven't made a ton of money from this, but getting to be known as an author and, putting myself out there and getting a following, I think is more important at this point as an indie author, as a first-time published author. So that's what I'm doing. Now, onto the total royalties that I've made from this book is, for 2.5 months, $250 Canadian. So that's not bad. Again, you can see like a spike at the beginning where, people bought 3 books, 2 books, etc. And then, little bumps here for like Kindle Unlimited page reads. I made 68 cents that day, probably like 200 page reads or something. And then kind of going up and down. So kind of a pattern. Now, again, this doesn't seem like a lot. Maybe to some people, it is a lot. I don't want to be ungrateful. I'm super, super happy for every single sale I get. And regardless of how much money I make at this point, I just really, really want to be able to write for a living, which does include, getting money. But at this point, I think it's really important to put myself out there and get myself known as an author, which is why, again, I lowered my prices. But I think this is pretty good, for 2.5 months. So that is the breakdown of my Kindle Direct Publishing, royalties, orders, stuff like that. I hope this was informative and kind of gives a snapshot as to what it's like for a first-time published author with, again, 0 following. I had quite a few friends and family buy it, which was really nice. But now with my social media strategy being posting consistently on TikTok in a niche, I've seen now organic sales, which I think is just amazing. I'm super happy. I hope that this can continue. So I think I might do another video like this in another 2.5 to 3 months to see, how good that TikTok strategy was or is going to be. And again, you kind of are the judge of these results, if they're good by your standards, if they're crap. I am super grateful for every single order, every single stranger that bought my book to give it a chance, to read it, and like it is just, it's amazing. It's an author's dream. So that's it for today. Again, I hope this was helpful for you. If you are an aspiring author, thinking about self-publishing, if you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer in the comments. And if you haven't already, check out my book. It's called No More Second Chances. It's on Amazon, as you can see. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.